Hello everyone, hope you're having the greatest of days today. Welcome to the Film Insight channel. For today's video, we're going to cover some more of the worst bars to be featured on Bar Rescue and review how they're doing now. So, sit back, relax, and without further ado, let's get right into the content, guys. RJ's Replays. For a Season 6 episode, John Taffer heads over to RJ's Replays in Tucson, Arizona to rescue it from closure. Owned by Richard McClelland, he purchased the business back in 2011 with the financial help of his mother and father. Having run a nightclub in the past for over 14 years in fact, his parents had faith that he would put their $700,000 to good use. While it did perform very well for the first few years, his success started to decline due to mismanagement. What's more, the bar state greatly affected Richard's relationship with his wife Christy, who he often fights with. Considering the fact that the bar was $1 million in debt and less than a month away from closing down, the owner called out to Taffer for some aid. Upon his eventual arrival with his experts, they point out that the bar lacks presence and doesn't have any appeal for female patrons. Watching through CCTV cameras, Taffer notices that Richard and Christy are drinking and that the bar's chef Roberto is carelessly cross-contaminating. Already disgusted, the famous rescuer sends in the owners of a previous rescue, Chileans on 17th, to recon the bar. When they finally enter, they order an ale which is served warm and a dirty martini that isn't dirty enough, leaving them feeling disappointed. Hungry, the two order some food off of the overwhelmingly large menu, and as they wait, they're disturbed by a drunk patron. One server named Clarissa pointed out that the spies were being harassed, but the owner seemed to care less. Fed up with what he was seeing, the bar rescue host heads inside to confront the negligent owner about his actions. Overwhelmed by the truth, Richard breaks down and admits that their debt is massive and that they no longer have any money. Holding a staff meeting later on, Taffer learns that the owners frequently give out free drinks and are incapable of paying their team. Hoping to turn things around, the famous rescuer calls in Richard's parents to talk some sense into him. Later on, Taffer gets Christy to realize that she needs to support her husband for not only the business to succeed, but their marriage as well. Fast forward to near the end of the episode, after the staff was trained and everyone seemed on the same page, Taffer was finally ready to renovate. Renaming the place to the Frozen Cactus, Taffer also made the bar look completely different by giving it a makeover and installing high-tech equipment. Post-bar rescue, the owner reported that the sales went up by 30% after only 6 weeks, which gave Richard a lot of confidence. Overall, the bar received pretty good reviews following the renovations, but there were some complaints here and there about the service. Thanks to the help of Taffer and his team, Richard and his wife seemed to be on better terms and were even able to travel to Hawaii for some alone time. Still being open to this day, the bar currently goes by the name RJ's Frozen Cactus, which is a fusion of both names. The original Hideout. In another Season 6 episode, John Taffer pays a visit to the failing original Hideout to bring it back on its feet. Owned by Ramiro Flores, a local attorney, he purchased the bar with some co-investors back in 2008. Despite not having any previous experience in the industry, Flores decided to purchase the business from his partners anyway. Realizing that he needed help, Flores hired his brother Raul Ramirez to be the bar's manager, but he's just as inexperienced and has an awful temper. Unsure of how else to move forward, the owner called out to Taffer and his team for some professional help. When he finally arrives, he immediately sends in 2 spies to get an accurate reading of the customer experience. Upon entering, they attempt to order some draft beer, which the bar doesn't have, so they ask to browse the cocktail menu, which they don't have either. Requesting a simple margarita and tequila sunrise, they patiently wait as Taffer and his team watch through CCTV cameras. Noticing that the kitchen had clear signs of contamination with cooked chicken being stored next to raw chicken, they decide to rush in to stop the service. Hilariously, as the bar rescue host enters, the patrons start to cheer because they know what's about to go down. Heading straight for Flores and his brother, Taffer tells them that the kitchen state is appalling and needs to be cleaned immediately. This sparks a heated argument between the staff, who start blaming each other for a list of different things. Leaving and returning the following day, the famous rescuer holds a staff meeting and notices that Ramirez is not only absent, but is refusing to return. Additionally, Taffer is told by a bartender named Gloria that Lisa, a woman who was previously fired by Ramirez but rehired by Flores, causes tons of stress for the staff. Reprimanding the owner for bringing someone like her back, he tells him to step up, which results in him finally laying her off. Now that the bar's weak links were out of the way, Taffer brought in his experts who taught the staff how to make tacos and cocktails for the upcoming service. Holding a stress test after the training was complete, the staff seemed to be trying their very best but failed to keep up with the orders, which forced the famous rescuer to shut things down. Since it was clear that the staff needed to refine their skills, Taffer brought back expert chef Anthony Lamas and mixologist Jacob Forth to prepare them for the relaunch. Before that, the bar rescue host pulled Flores aside to discuss the situation with his brother, who seemingly quit. Due to the fact that they had little time to wait for him to change his mind, Taffer asked Gloria to step up as a manager to give the owner some support. With little left to do, Taffer went straight into the renovation, starting by brightening up the exterior and make it more appealing. He also revamped the interior to make it feel a lot warmer, as well as added in a small distillery system that makes moonshine to increase profits. Relaunching under the same name, customers eagerly poured into the new and improved bar and were impressed with what they were seeing. Surprisingly, Flores performed flawlessly throughout the service thanks to the help of Gloria, who gave him tons of support. Post-bar rescue, the owner reported that the business's sales went up by 25% mere weeks after Taffer left, which is great. Thankfully, the owner's brother decided to return to his position as the general manager and is doing better than ever. To this very day, the original Hideout is still up and running and has a solid 4.3 stars on Facebook. Most seem to praise the bar's food and drinks, but there are some occasional complaints about the service. Crossroads Grill. As our final entry, we're going to discuss a bar that John Taffer attempted to rescue called Crossroads Grill. Opened by Robert and Ashley Gaddy back in 2015, they were met with relative success for the first 2 years, but this swiftly went downhill after Robert had an injury. Forced to step back from the bar, Ashley was left to lead the staff on her own, who became increasingly unruly. Aside from doing anything but their job, the Crossroads team would actively steal from the business by drinking their stock on a daily basis. Being $200,000 in debt and months away from closing down, the owners called out to Taffer for some aid. Upon his eventual arrival with expert mixologist Derek Turner and chef Michael Ferrero, they're surprised that the place looks so clean, safe, and inviting. For this very reason, they assume that the staff is the problem, which they confirm by taking a quick look at the CCTV footage. They're appalled to see a worker named Diana get up on tables and dance while the bartenders mix liquor from different bottles, which is illegal. Despite seeing this chaos, Taffer still proceeds to send in 2 locals named Emmanuel and Eric to gather some intel. Ordering a margarita that is oddly green upon being served, when they ask for it to be remade, they receive a yellow drink. Hungry, they also order a catfish, but after waiting for several minutes, the chef reveals that they don't have any left. Regardless of the fact that the staff is openly drinking and getting plastered, the owners seem to care less. One worker named Buns was so inebriated that she began smacking a patron and had to be escorted out. Having seen more than enough, Taffer heads into the bar to confront the owners about their horrible staff. Since it was more than obvious that the staff was the problem, the famous rescuer gives the owners an ultimatum to fire some of them or he'll leave. Before that, Taffer points out that the kitchen is filthy, with the fryer being caked with grease, which is a fire hazard. To put them in their place, Robert forces them to clean the bar, which they spend the rest of the night doing. Leaving and returning the following day, Taffer is pleased that the owners finally decided to fire Buns, who did nothing but hurt the business. Next, the bar rescue host brings in his experts to train the staff on the basics of mixing and cooking. Holding a stress test soon after, this is one of the few times that things went well, despite a few minor hiccups. Weeks after the taping of this episode, the owners revealed that their business was back to its glory days. Thanks to Taffer's guidance, both Robert and Ashley became hands-on owners and stopped letting their staff wreak havoc on the business. While this bar ultimately closed down in March of 2018, the couple opened another bar called Donks, which is doing pretty well. Well, that'll be all for today's video here on the channel. I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to drop a massive like down below and comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more content like this, and turn on those sweet bell notifications for instant access to our content. Have a good one, guys.